Chrollo and Kurapika share a secret connection that even Kurapika doesn't know about. And if you're an anime only, you don't know about it either. So let's talk about it. So this secret connection actually originates in Hunter x Hunter Volume 0, which is a prequel about Kurapika that came out in 2012 at the same time as the Hunter x Hunter movie Phantom Rouge came out. The movie is not canon, but this Volume 0 is. So what is this secret connection? Well, enter Sheila, a character that was introduced in Volume 0. And to give you a brief recap of what Volume 0 is about, it essentially details Kurapika's final days in the Kurta Clan village before he leaves to go explore the outside world. And if you don't recall, the Kurta clan was extremely seclusive and secretive, and that's because they were persecuted and hunted for their scarlet eyes. So their entire village was hidden, and that knowledge was kept sacred. Outsiders weren't allowed in, and even Kurta clan members themselves weren't allowed to just come and go freely. You needed special permission to exit and explore the outside world, which is what Kurapika wanted. So that's what these two chapters are about, him trying to get the elders' permission to go have his outside adventures. And one of the primary reasons Kurapika desired this so bad is because of Sheila. Because one day, Kurapika and his best friend Pyro were just exploring the woods outside of the village, and they happened to stumble into Sheila, who is an outsider. And she was in a bad spot because she had badly injured her leg and basically couldn't move. So Kurapika and Pyro help Sheila, and over the course of a couple of weeks, nurse her back to health and get her going on her way. And in return for this kindness, she gives them this Dino Hunter book, or D Hunter, which basically is this collection of fantastical tales talking about a hunter and their adventures. And reading those stories is what inspired Kurapika to really want to go have his own adventures and explore the world for himself. And the story ends with Kurapika ultimately getting this permission and leaving the village to set off on his adventure. And then the final page of the volume is just strictly black panels with narration on top of it that describes the Kurta Clan massacre that happened a mere 6 weeks after he left. And an important piece to this is that it says a female traveler is the one who stumbled upon this massacre. So a lot of people think it might have been Sheila who was traveling back through that ended up discovering all of the Kurta bodies. All right, so how is Chrollo connected to all of this? And obviously he's the leader of the Phantom Troupe, and they're the ones responsible for the Kurta Clan massacre, but just how did they find the location of the village in the first place? Because that was a closely guarded secret. Well, after Volume 0 came out, a lot of people speculated maybe it was Sheila that led to that secret getting out and ultimately led to the downfall of the Kurta clan, which in a weird roundabout way would also put some of the blame on Kurapika. Not that it's actually his fault at all, but just in his own mind, like that chain of events ultimately led to the secret getting out, right? So people wondered, did Sheila just, tell people about the two kids that helped her in the woods, and then slowly information perhaps got out and spread that the Kurta clan might have been located there? Or perhaps far more maliciously, was Sheila in on it the whole time? Was her entire injury just a ruse and was trying to get closer to these villagers in order to find out where the secret Kurta hideout might have been? And maybe the book that she even gave them was like a Nin GPS tag, so when they took it back to the village, she would know exactly where it was. There were tons and tons of theories about this, but remember, this came out in 2012. Well, about 10 years later, we got a super intriguing answer. And that's because in chapter 395, we get a flashback to the origins of the Phantom Troupe, which dates all the way back to when Chrollo was a kid, and all of them were kids. And not only did he know Sheila, but they were childhood best friends. She was one of that original crew running around doing the voice acting and putting on the shows for everybody. And that flashback went on to show us just how the Phantom Troupe came to be, and that's because another one of Chrollo and Sheila's childhood friends, Sarasa, was found brutally murdered outside of Meteor City, and that event brought a swift and abrupt end to Chrollo's childhood. And that event is what leads to the creation of the Phantom Troupe. It's the only way Chrollo can make things right in his mind. He realizes what he must become, what he must turn them into in order to make things right in the world, in order for them to exact vengeance vengeance on Sarasa's killers. They have to make Meteor City this criminal underworld, and they have to become the head of it so that they can figure out who did this and basically make them pay. And they're all willing to walk that dark path. All of them except Sheila, who does not stand for that and walks away. And so the plot thickens, right? This character that Togashi introduced in Kurapika's backstory ends up having a direct connection to Chrollo that's revealed 10 years later. So just what is going on here, right? Did Sheila just straight up tell Chrollo about the location of the Kurta clan and the entire thing was a setup from her in Volume 0? But if so, why did she walk away? Like, she walked away here because she didn't approve of the dark path they were going down. And then yet somehow that gets circled back and she's like, yeah, I'll help lead to the genocide of an entire people. Doesn't quite check out, right? But then what happened here? And now we enter into a realm of tons of fan theories, right? Because we still don't know, but it is certainly interesting that Kurapika and Chrollo share this very interesting character connection that at the very least Kurapika has no idea of, and Chrollo might not either. It just depends on if Sheila and adult Chrollo are still in connections or not. And one of the most interesting theories is that Sheila set it all up, like unbeknownst to Kurapika and unbeknownst to Chrollo. What if Sheila, like, intentionally led the troupe into thinking that the Kurta clan had killed her, and they, like, discovered her book there and just assumed the worst? Because we do know the note that the troupe left at the Kurta clan was the Meteor City, catchphrase or whatever, right? Like, leave anything you want, but take nothing from us. And what did the Kurta clan ever take from the Phantom Troupe, right? Well, if they mistakenly believed that the Kurta clan had killed Sheila, that would certainly make sense and would also kind of make sense for just why they were so brutal to the clan, which we don't need an outside explanation for because the troupe has done really messed up stuff. So this would be in line with it, but it would at least make it make that much more sense, right? But again, before I just get yapping to 1,000,000 miles an hour and back, that is not a phrase. We don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. But this is an insanely compelling connection here that could just make the plot go crazy if and when Kurapika or if and when Chrollo realize this about each other. Now, with all that out of the way, I got to give a massive shout out to Donatello, whose generous donation here sponsored this video. As you can see, he asked if we could get one detailing Sheila, but then additionally also asked if she's on the Black Whale, what role do I think she'll play? And before I get into that, I also coincidentally got another donation related to Sheila from Bandit Chrollo, so thank you so much for the support as well, man. And he says, I've got a theory about Morena. What if Sheila is Morena? And so y'all can pause to read the whole thing if you'd like, but it made sense to address these together. So what I'll say is that there are a number of theories out there, but if Sheila were to re-enter this arc and she's on the Black Whale, then I think that is definitely just going to play a role in this Kurapika-Chrollo intersection, as it were. But which direction that go obviously largely depends on what she actually did back in Volume 0. If she was complicit and malicious and intentionally led to the massacre of the Kurta clan, or if it was an accident. And then even more especially, if she intentionally misled the troupe into thinking they had killed her, which means she would be an op to both Chrollo and Kurapika, and might just cause an interesting dynamic in how each of them view everything, really. Now, to address Bandit's theory about Sheila potentially being Morena and also being Periston's daughter, I personally don't subscribe to that because I don't think, one, the ages check out. I don't think it makes sense for Periston to have a daughter that would be as old as Sheila is now, but that it could be, we really don't know enough about like canonical ages to make a call there. But I don't think Sheila is Morena because what we know about both of their backstories doesn't seem to compute. Now, we could say that Morena was lying about her backstory in the most recent chapter and then anything goes, right? But personally, I don't think Morena was lying. So for me, I don't think Morena is Sheila, but I personally think the theory that makes the most sense is that Sheila is Periston. They are one and the same. And like all of this stuff has been manipulation from Periston. But that's like a whole video in and of itself. But If that's the case, to circle back to Donatello's other question, what role do I think she'll play? I think it'll just be a powder keg in this entire dynamic to find out that Kurapika got played, but also that Chrollo got played. Anyways, that's going to do it for now, y'all. But let me know all your thoughts on this situation down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.